I'll hear one more. I call the honourable member Mark Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy, Mr. Chair, to take a call on the second part, the commencement of what's a very good bill brought to this House by my colleague Paul Goldsmith, the Electronic Transactions Contract Formation Amendment Bill, and he made a very good explanation around the title, and I now clearly understand why we have the contract formation in there. It's really the heart of the bill. But, Mr. Chair, the commencement date is very important on this bill, and Mr. Goldsmith has already indicated very clearly that he wants the commencement date to be the date after it receives the royal assent. I support this position completely, Mr. Chair. It was interesting because I guess I did have a question around whether or not this should be retrospective legislation, and the member made it very clear that he has decided that he does not want it to be retrospective. In fact, as he said, he is a member of this House that is not in favour generally of retrospective legislation for his own very good reasons. And in actual fact, Mr. Chair, this bill probably does not lend itself to being retrospective in nature. But it is a very good bill, and I think that he made a very good point, and that is the sense that we do live in an electronic age now. And he sort of went back in time and said, once upon a time when a contract may be sealed through the preparation and the mailing and the receiving of a letter to form that contract, is that when the contract was formed and put into the envelope, the stamp was put on, it was put in the mail, that's when the contract was formed. It was very clear. And the reason why I mention this, Mr. Chair, is because it relates directly to the commencement date. And why the member is pushing very hard for a commencement date that will be the day after the royal assent. But now, currently in modern ages, and hello Barbara, we live in an entirely different era, where electronic transactions are a part of daily life. And I'd invite Ms Beaumont to take a call and actually hear what the opposition feel about this bill. I mean, I'd be very interested to hear that. Mr Cosgrove, I'm sure, would be an amazing contribution. I invite you to take a call as well. But in these modern times, a lot of our transactions are electronic, and I think he raised a very good point. And it comes to the heart. It comes to the heart of this bill, and it comes to the reason why the commencement date is so important, Mr. Chair. And I keep coming back to the fact that the member in the chair has highlighted the day after the royal assent, and I fully support that. But Mr. Chair, the thing is that now in these electronic times, he's quite right. When is the contract formed? When an email arrives in the server, when the email arrives in your inbox, or when you open the email? And there does have to be certainty, and there does have to be clarity around this. And I come back, well, the commencement date is critical. So that's right. That's right. The contract does form on the commencement date. You're absolutely right. And we keep coming back to it, we keep highlighting. But listen, I think it's very important to continue to highlight that Mr Goldsmith has stated very clearly that he wishes the commencement date to be from the day that it receives the royal assent. And I'd like to come back to a comment that my colleague, the Honourable Chris Tremaine, made, because he made some very, very good observations. And actually, when we're talking about transactions, actually, it does come to the heart of our economic growth, doesn't it? Because there's thousands of transactions being made every day in this country. Yeah, that's right, Mr Cosgrove. I know you might be a little bit disconnected from what's happening in the country, but actually there's thousands of transactions happening every day. And so, finally, Mr Chair, I would just like to come back, and I'd just like to finally state and support Mr Goldsmith's comments and statements around his preferred commencement date, and that is the day after this bill receives the royal assent. Thank you, Mr Chair.
The question is that the question is that Clause 2 stand par. All those in favour, please say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The question now is that Clause 3 stand par.
Mr Chair.
I call the honourable member Paul Goldsmith.
Now, we come to